Griffin, formerly Grey Delisle, has certainly made a name for herself within the animated world. When it comes to voice acting, she's up there with Tara Strong in terms of voicing plenty of great heroines and evil villainesses. So, who's the best of the best, and who is heartless? Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is Grey Griffin Characters, Good to Evil. Just like with our previous voice actor focus videos, we're going to be primarily focusing on Grey Griffin's most popular and well-known roles, as well as a few fan favorites here and there. And we're only looking at TV roles, so no movies or video games. As usual, we'll be starting with the sweetest, most pure and heroic characters and working our way down. These characters are the good. The gold medal of good goes to Kimiko Tomohiko. Using the element of fire, Kimiko serves as one of the Shaolin warriors. She's kind, courageous, sociable, and helpful, even towards people who annoy her like Omi. She taught him how to play video games, and although she'll still get mad at his sexist remarks, Kimiko usually doesn't hold a grudge. While she is stubborn and headstrong, Kimiko knows how to keep her temper in check, only getting angry when it's reasonable. She also cares about her duties as a Shaolin warrior, refusing to ever bow down to Wuya, and uses her abilities to protect the world multiple times. Between her good deeds and her good heart, we felt that we just had to give her the gold. The silver medal of good is going to Frankie Foster. Frankie is a hard-working girl with a heart of gold. She looks after various imaginary friends, pretty much being like a big sister. This was true when it came to World, the friend from Destination Imagination. The only thing that prevents her from going any higher is her temper, which makes her violent. Not that we can always blame her for it when it comes to characters like Harriman or Goofball, but still. Frankie can also be selfish, like when it came to her grandmother's cookies or when she tried to use Eduardo's money to buy something for herself at the swap meet. But even with these not great moments, we can't overlook how hard Frankie works, nor can we understate her kindness. For our bronze medal of good, we're giving it to Scooby-Doo's Daphne Blake. Grey Griffin has been playing Daphne since 2001, voicing her in many modern series and movies. Although she comes from a rich background, Daphne isn't spoiled and cares about helping people alongside the Mystery Gang. While sometimes disaster-prone, she's become more of an action girl over the years, especially in shows such as Mystery Incorporated. In the newer incarnations, Daphne usually provides moral support to the other characters, though she can sometimes get jealous of other girls who get too close to Fred, like Alice May. But this flaw isn't enough to outshine all the good that Daphne's done, so we had to give her a high spot. Next is Emily Elizabeth from Clifford the Big Red Dog. Though she's a minor character, how could we not rank Emily Elizabeth this high?
A wildflower bouquet is just what tonight's party needs.
After all, it was her love for Clifford that helped him grow so big. Her pleasantness is also what earns her such a high ranking. Simply put, Emily Elizabeth is kind, loving, responsible, and doesn't really have any huge flaws. She may not be a superhero or anything like that, but her sweet and good demeanor earns her a spot in this tier. Next is Lana Loud. Being the nicer of the Loud twins, Lana is both an animal lover and a great mechanic, using her skills to help solve her family's various vehicle or plumbing issues.
I'll have you out in a jiffy.
She also saved a tank of frogs that would have been dissected, as well as a pair of endangered fish.
Frogs are cooler on the outside than they are on the inside.
Unfortunately, Lana is immature and gross. She can be prideful and is often arguing with Lola or one of her other sisters, though she'll always have their back. And Lana's good moments are noteworthy and admirable. Next up is the adorable Puppycorn. Being the younger brother of Princess Unikitty, Puppycorn is a hyperactive, dim-witted, yet still good-hearted prince. He's goofy and over-emotional, but is usually harmless. Granted, his naivety can cause trouble, like when he nearly brought the Unikingdom to ruins when he was put in charge. Puppycorn never wants to hurt anyone and just wants to have fun with his big sis and their friends. He's a big puppy and is just as friendly and loving as one too. While he still has some growing to do, Puppycorn's sweetness earns him this spot. Next is Madame Raz. Raz helped both Mara and Adora during their She-Ra journeys. Because she's confused due to her memories being out of order, much of Raz's help is accidental. She tries, and even if she doesn't always know who they are, she cares enough about Mara and Adora to help them.
How would Madame Raz just know what you should do.
She helped Mara become more patient and gave Adora great advice. Raz can be wise, though unreasonable due to her mental state. Given her positive impact on the two Shiraz, Raz is a good influence. Next is Lore from the Weekenders. Of the four friends, Lore is the most athletic, and as such, can be aggressive, leading to her being pretty competitive, as well as rude and occasionally insensitive. Lore can be selfish, with the biggest example coming from ditching her friends at the movies because she didn't want to give up her ticket. When she realized how badly she let her friends down, Lore overcompensated and became a nice monster. While this wasn't the best solution, it showed that Lore cared about her friends, even if she doesn't always think to put them first. Though selfish, Lore can also be supportive and have her friends' back, like when she called out the cool kids for playing a prank on Tino and Tish. So yeah, Lore is a good friend, just as long as she's paying attention. Finishing off the good tier, we have Sam Manson. This character is controversial, with some loving her and some hating her.
You just set an all-time speed record for drowning in the shallow end of the gene pool.
We see both sides. At her best, Sam can be good-hearted and loyal, especially towards Danny. She promotes individuality and cares about the environment. Unfortunately, her activism can cause her to be forceful and bossy, like when she forced the school to switch to a veggie-only menu. Sam is judgmental towards girls like Paulina, and only apologizes sometimes. She hates admitting when she's wrong, and can be hypocritical, calling out Danny for things she's done herself. Sam's overall maturity has come in handy though, and despite being only a human, she's willing to put herself in danger to help Danny and protect their town against Ghost. Of all of our good tier characters, Sam probably has the most noticeable flaws. At the end of the day, she qualifies as a hero, though one can still make some improvements. Alright, that's it for the good characters. Now it's time to descend into neutral territory. This is the gray area. Just missing out on the good tier is El Tigre's Frida Suarez. Between her rebellious prankster nature and her selfish actions, it shouldn't be a surprise.
I dig what you've done with the rocks and the more rocks.
Though she cares about her best friend Manny, Frida lets her own desires get the better of her. Like when she disregarded Manny's feelings about her embarrassing El Tigre song. Frida is easily distracted by something cool or exciting, like when she was briefly won over by Silverwolf. Thankfully, these awful moments are few and far between, and when Frida screws up, she comes around and stays by Manny's side. Frida is also one of the few people in Manny's life who lets him be himself and wants to give him a fun time. We can't put her any higher due to her biggest mistakes, but she does enough to land on the upper half of the gray tier. Next is Lola Loud. Lola has a few flaws. She can be very bratty and quick to anger, not to mention materialistic and a schemer. When it comes to tattling on her siblings, Lola does it the most, and was at one point willing to blackmail her siblings.
I'd hate for Dad to find out who broke his precious disco ball.
This isn't even getting into how violent she's implied to be, but even with all of this, Lola has a heart underneath all the pink and glitter. Whether it's looking out for her twin and her other siblings, or helping a shy girl named Melly have fun, Lola has a few good moments, enough to keep her out of the bad tier. Next is the controversial queen, Moon Butterfly. Moon was a serious and proper character who wanted to see her daughter Star become a worthy queen. Although she cared about Star, they didn't always see eye to eye due to Moon being dismissive or overly strict. However, when her kingdom was threatened by Toffee, Moon protected it.
I don't have a plan. I'm just trying to keep you safe, okay?
We also learned in Season 3 that Moon is willing to have an open mind towards people like Eclipsa. Unfortunately, Moon's morality took a turn for the worse in the final season, after it was revealed that she secretly helped Mina in her coup against Eclipsa in order to become queen once again. This was not only stupid, but also wrong and dangerous, given how volatile Mina was. Moon soon regretted her mistakes and helped Star destroy the magic, saving the monsters of Muni. Though her actions in the final season lowered her ranking a lot, the fact that Moon was willing to make up for her mistakes goes a long way. At the end of this tier, we have Major Dr. Ghastly. She is Hector Concarne's top scientist, and while she's technically a villain, she's also an example of a bad guy not being so bad. After falling in love with her boss, Ghastly promised to be completely loyal to him and stick with him through thick and thin, despite Hector only being a brain. In many ways, Ghastly is the least malicious human in the group, being much kinder than Hector or Scar and not having much of an interest in taking over the world. she doesn't even enjoy being evil. Still, she's willing to invent anything her boss asks her to, supporting him in his evil endeavors out of her love for him. That wraps up the gray area. Time for the wicked and the villainous. These characters are the bad to evil. First is Mandy. Mandy is bitter, devious, and ruthless when it comes to the things she wants. The girl's also got a killer right hook, which she is not afraid to use whenever anything or anyone gets in her way. As for her aspirations, she hopes to one day rule the world, a position she doesn't wish to share. She's antagonistic towards Grimm, usually for her own amusement, and even when she's acting more as an anti-hero, Mandy only acts in favor of herself. She was even willing to take over the Kids Next Door's moon base and nearly dominated the entire Cartoon Network multiverse. But is Mandy really all bad? We've seen that she cares about Billy, somewhat, always saving and protecting him, despite him being annoying. We should also mention that it was Grimm who suggested the Best Friend Forever addition to the original bet, not Mandy. As such, Mandy challenging the Grim Reaper only as a means to save Billy's hamster without needing anything for herself in return was noteworthy and kinda sweet. Mandy could have anyone as her idiotic lackey, so it says something that she continues to stick by Billy. Additionally, when she became president in the Underfist special, Mandy was more of a competent leader than a cruel dictator. For these reasons, she misses out on the podium of evil. Next is Exo-Skin. A bit of a strange choice, we'll admit, but she technically counts as a character.
It's me, your second skin. Don't we look beautiful?
Exo-Skin was created to help Jenny look more human and fit in with her fellow teens. Unfortunately, Exo-Skin had a very specific idea of normal and wanted Jenny to follow it to the letter. She berated Jenny, tried to emotionally manipulate her into being normal, and then physically attacked Jenny when she tried to break out of the Exo-Skin's control. This was one of the most memorable episodes of my life as a teenage robot, so we just had to give this character a shout out. Outside the bottom three is Minghua. Being born without arms, Minghua uses waterbending to turn herself into a nearly unstoppable weapon. Like the other members of the Red Lotus, Minghua is loyal to Sahir's mission, so she's willing to kidnap, take hostages, attempt murder, attack innocent bystanders. Outside of that, Minghua is surprisingly laid back, known for being sarcastic and composed. She also protects her friends, defending fellow member Palai from Bolin and Mako's attacks. Now, you may disagree with us, but despite all the evil that she did, we felt we couldn't pick Minghua any lower, mostly due to our remaining characters doing more and having more screen time than her, thus having much more of a chance to do evil. The bronze medal of evil goes to the Fire Nation princess, Azula. You don't want to mess with this princess. In her first scene, she threatens to throw a captain overboard if he doesn't make the ship move faster. It sets the tone for her character.
And if I were to have you thrown overboard, would the tides think twice about smashing you against the rocky shore?
Azula is calculating and cruel, always striving for power and victory. She was a terrible sister to Zuko, lying to him and later trying to capture him once he became a traitor. Azula is also manipulative and was willing to murder both Zuko and Katara to remain Fire Lord. However, we aren't going to put her any lower since much of her behavior stems from Ozai's influence and her own mental instability. Additionally, she has her moments of humanity, which we saw in the beach episode, where she apologized to Ty Lee after insulting her and went after Zuko. That doesn't wipe the slate clean, but it does show that, much like Mandy, she isn't totally heartless. The silver medal of evil goes to Vicky. Yes, Icky Vicky. While maybe not as impressive as Mandy or Azula, Vicky makes up for it in terms of her cruelty and sadistic nature when it comes to her babysitting. She's two-faced, greedy, selfish, violent, and her favorite pastime seems to be tormenting innocent kids, with her biggest victims being Timmy and Tootie, her younger sister. That's what puts her this low, the enjoyment she gets out of being evil. Look, she's terrible, but even she has some good moments. When she and Timmy were trapped in an icy cave with what turned out to be a fake abominable snowman, Vicky actually tried to protect Timmy. This was mostly out of gratitude for helping her stay warm, but still. Vicky also joined Timmy's forces in Wishology, no, only because he was paying her, and she seemed upset when he sacrificed himself to the darkness, so make of that what you will. These moments may be small, but there are just enough to keep her from the gold.
I'm not so bad after all.
Taking the gold medal of evil is the priestess from Samurai Jack. While Aku may have been the biggest threat of Samurai Jack's world, the High Priestess certainly could have given him a run for his money in terms of evilness. Being the worst mother anyone could ask for, High Priestess was nothing but cruel and heartless towards her 7 daughters, only seeing them as a means to serve and earn praise from Aku. She had never had any love for them, and anything that was seen as weakness was beaten out of them at her command. When Ashi eventually rebelled, the priestess didn't even hesitate in trying to kill her. Which, yeah, no surprise there. While Mandy, Azula, and Vicky may have had moments of vulnerability, the High Priestess is just pure evil, and more than earns the title of most evil Grey Griffin character. Alright guys, that's it! Let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.